running the heck out of this thing. Woo! Can't wait. I've got a whole pile of cookies ready to go on the router sled, so let's go see if we can get it set up. And hopefully nobody has decided to make it into a house today. Right now the wasps are trying to make homes everywhere. So I have my DeWalt, and right now I have it set up as a plunge router. I don't know how well that'd work. I think you can lock it down. That might be nice. Well, then I got looking around and I completely forgot all about that router. I think I used that router table one time. Let's see if it even works. There we go. Kind of noisy, but it worked. Now we got it rigged up. I found 3 holes. Let's see, look at that. I'm going to start off with El Cheapo bit, and then I have a carbide bit. But since I'm new at it, and if I mess up, I figure, well, it won't be a cheap bit to mess up. So now I've just got to put some slats under here to put my tabs on to hold the cookie in place. We'll be ready to roll. So make sure you come back and stay tuned to the channel. We're going to be running the heck out of this thing. Woo! Can't wait. Who wants to come along with this journey with me? I'm trying to decide how I want to set all this up. I kind of had a vision in my head, and I'm the cookie maker, and I make a lot of tables out of these cookies. So that's why I don't really have the router sled set up for doing long boards. Maybe in the future I can do a different setup. So it's a learning for me. It's new. I had a small little handmade router sled that I could slide it on, and I did the router on. I did little cookies. But now I wanted to step it up to some bigger cookies. So I'm trying to figure out what the best way is to have variable sides. And of course you want this cookie to stay still. So I cut 3 slats that go all the way across. They touch on each side, but they're movable. Haven't decided whether I want to screw them in there or not. You don't have a lot of room to raise the router bit up and down for your work. So you got to try to figure out all these different size boards, so as you're moving along, you can move it up in different intervals. So if you want to come along for the journey and kind of see how I set it up and kind of where my brain is at, and we'll try to get this spalty maple, at least this spalty maple done, and see how it comes out, because it's fairly dry. I have a bunch of them to do, and then I have a whole lot of little smaller pecan cookies to do. We'll start off small, and then I have some really large ones to do. So if you want to come along with this journey with me and figure out how to make this thing work for cookies, please join in. I'd love to have you. Hopefully you guys are situated really well right there, and it'll work out. So I've got some 1 5/8" dry wall screws. So that's what I thought I could maybe hold everything down with. I didn't really want to drill any more holes in this table, so that's why I kind of made this rack and made these kind of sit in there, so as I'm going back and forth they won't move. I suppose they could move left and right, but hopefully not. So I did buy these little clamps off of Amazon that are for holding it down, and I might use them on the bigger ones, but I think for this I'm just going to cheat and use screws to kind of hold these slats in place, and then maybe put a screw on an angle to hold the cookie. So hopefully that'll work out. We'll find out. And I don't know if I can get all of me in the picture or not. So let me readjust everything and see if we can get a little better picture. There, does that seem a little better? Phone was on the wrong settings. I'll tell you, these phones sometimes just have a mind of their own. They like to reset stuff all the time. Hopefully that'll be better. Not as close, but so I'm going to start off by just putting a screw, just something to hold it. Now, like I said, I don't know, it's a learning curve for me, some of you guys may have done this more and be experts at it. But this is a fairly cheap router sled. Didn't want to get too fancy. At this point, I'm just learning. So I didn't want to spend a lot of money. Now as I get better, maybe I will invest in something a little nicer than this. But for now, we're just going to do that, and then I'm going to put screws on both sides of this. This is just a setup. I'm sure a lot of you are going to know a lot more about this than me, maybe. But this is the fun part of life. Learning different things and trying different things. Doesn't always have to be perfect right off the bat. Alright. Like I said, I'm just kind of playing around, seeing what I can do with it. I'm sure over time I will be able to do a little better setup. But for today, for all intents and purposes, we're learning. And I figured I'd bring you along with me. And hopefully, now there is one thing that's real important that I forgot. I don't think I have any, is I need little shims so this thing doesn't rock. You know what I'm saying? But this is somewhat flat. I mean, it's not moving. I hope it's not going to move. I don't know what this thing's going to do. I'll be honest with you. Now, with this router sled, you can lock it in place with these little tabs right here. And I'm going to do that because, like I said, I've kind of mounted this on here where it needed to go as far as the holes go. But how the rotation of the router bit, whether it pulls or not, is another question. So I've got it so it'll take off about 3/8. That may be too much. It may be okay. I don't know. Here we go. It took off about 1/8 there. I'll bring you guys in close here in a minute. Once I get a little more comfortable with what I'm doing here. I don't want this thing to take off and kick back or something crazy stuff like that and damage me or the router. So I could probably leave this loose and slide it back and forth. Like I said, this is not a high-dollar router sled. Some of them, it has a tube here and you can slide it all different directions. But I'm a newbie at this. Alright. It didn't seem like it. Let me take a couple passes and kind of get my feel for it, then I'll bring you in a little closer and we will go from there. But like I said, I'd rather err on the side of caution than to try to get too fast before I'm comfortable or ready to do this, you know what I'm saying? And some of you guys may do this every day, I don't know. But I'm excited. This is something totally new for me. Alright, now I'm just going to kind of let it be free floating. Wow, that's nice. So I figured I'd get brave and let it just float in there. And it does better pulling back at you than it does pushing away. Pushing away, it's wanting to kind of run out. So as I have it set up now, that's as low as that will go. So that means this is off about a quarter. So I need to find some more boards or shims to bring this up at least probably 3/8, and we'll get this side done, and then we'll do the other side. Spalty maple is so much fun to work with. So, and because it is a little soft, it's kind of tearing up in there, but for the next course, I'll bring you guys in a lot closer so you can actually see what's going on. And we'll see how this works. I got cribbing going all different directions. I got screws holding cribbing on top of cribbing. I think eventually I like to build something that maybe you could crank up and down, that you could set your pieces on, so there wasn't so much setup time. If you guys have any ideas on that, let me know. So this comes like within an 1/8 inch of here. I probably should have dropped the bit down a little bit more in the chuck before I tightened it up, because I don't have a lot of room. So right now I've kind of got it set up to where it'll take off maybe about an 1/8 inch or something like that, and then we'll eventually work our way down. It will go low enough to get to here, so let's just crank it up and see what happens. Pray for the best. Now you see the mess it's making. Now you know why I have this set up outside. If you put this inside, you'd have stuff everywhere. But man, I mean, it's a little teeny bit. You're going to have to sand the rest of it. This is pulling a little bit in here because it's spalty. But man, that is doing a fantastic job. I do notice, like if you leave these off, you want to kind of set your hand, your arm down on the rail, and that kind of helps enough resistance, because this is pulling. If you go forward, it's pulling away from you. If you come back, it's trying to pull this way. So that seems to work out pretty good. So hopefully, I should be able to flip it kind of right where it was. Let's see. Maybe not. I'm going to have to readjust it, all the screws, I think. Let's see. Yep. That's the one thing. I want to build something that maybe be more comfortable resetting this every time, instead of having to reset everything up, because this isn't perfectly round. I don't want to do perfectly round ones. I want to do ones that are not perfectly round. That's the whole point. I want unique stuff. So this bark needs to come off there. Probably should take it off first because that can hit when the bit goes over it, and it could cause it to get underneath the bit and bind up. But it's coming out pretty smooth. So let's take my redneck engineering here and undo what I've got kind of started. I should better just swing this one, I think, over like that. Like I say, it's probably not the best setup. And if you had to do a whole bunch of them, it would be a pain to do it this way. But it doesn't seem to move the cookie around too much. This is it's soft right now. So it's cutting through it pretty good. And that last cut, I took a good, probably over 1/4 inch off of it. So I just wanted to see how, you know, how aggressive and how it would act if you got aggressive. So now, I'm surprised that's lower like that. So now I'm at the point where I can undo this and I can adjust it this way just by using the router adjustment here. I want to double check it over here. I mean, it should be about the same. Yep. So I'm taking probably, I don't know, let's look over here. A little bit more than I want to, I think. I don't want to take 1/8 off. I want to keep the cookie as thick as I can. So let's come up with it. That is nice about this router, is it's set up pretty decent when it comes to this micro adjustment. This is a K-bolt router setup. So let's bring you guys in as close as I possibly can. Use this little mount so you guys can see kind of what's going on. Hopefully, how's that view? A little better. You can get right down in here, kind of see what's going on. So double check it. Seems like it's pretty secure. I was really hoping I could leave these off. That way I could work it left and right. Like I said, it runs in this track, so it's aluminum on plastic. So I suppose if I did that a whole lot, being this is a little cheaper, it's going to wear this plastic. So you got to keep that in mind as you do that. Not bad. Not bad. These are just little fun projects here. My test subjects, put it that way. So I'll bring you in a little bit closer here. Kind of see how it came out. It came out nice and flat. I know it's a jerry rig here, but as I get more used to the setup and I experiment and I'll make jigs and different stuff to make it work better. But I will say the other thing, this slides very nice. And I was wondering why I couldn't get it back all the way. Well, I had the cord in the way. So I was like, man, I can't quite get back past the cookie. Oh yeah, there we go. I did notice too, as I was in here really tight because of that cord, and I was trying to push it back, so I slowed down and it burned it a little bit. So you definitely got to watch out for that. But it did a super job. I mean, it seems like the setup is going to work for my cookies. And I have lots of them. Lots and lots of them. So I make Lazy Susans out of a lot of these. They're great for doing that. Let me set you guys back up on the phone mount. Raise you back up. There we go. So I buy the metal Lazy Susan. Like one like this would be, you'd use a 12-inch. And you can buy them in sets. They're not that bad. And I generally sell these for around $35 to $42 as a Lazy Susan. So great fun project, that's for sure. A very fun project to do. But I am going to take the bark off. And yeah, I'm super happy about that. Came out really, really nice. I'm going to have a lot of fun playing with this thing. And like I said, I got some giant cookies that are going to take up this whole space. Maybe I may even have to make a bigger crib setup to hold them. So, but this is a good start. All right, a couple quick notes as I was cleaning up my mess. There is one thing you got to watch out for, because these don't ride in a guide when you're making sawdust. It gets up on your rack there and gets under the wheels. So you want to have I guess a fan running. I guess if you had a fan running or something, maybe to keep it blown off, or just stop every once in a while and clean it off. And the other key thing is that in my haste of making the video, I didn't tighten these up. If you're not going to use them, just tighten them up. It came apart and it was in a pile of dust down there. Luckily I didn't lose all the parts to it. So I made one final pass on it and it came out super nice. Now just to get the bark off and do some sanding. But I got a lot of cookies to cut. What do you think? Let me know. I mean, this is something fun I like doing. Let me know what your thoughts are.